Thanks to the book of the Jeff Bezos letters, basically the whole book is dedicated about the annual shareholders that he has released, that he has written. And when I was reading the book the other day for the second time, they mentioned about this documentary called Mission Control, The Unsung Heroes of Apollo. And for those of you who follow Jeff Bezos, he loves space. I think he majored in chemical engineering, something like that, when he was in college. And although you see now that he's running Blue Ocean Strategy, I believe that's the name. And when I saw this part of the section of the book, Mission Control, I say, I gotta look this up because I'm a person that I love space and I continue to fall in love with it. It all began when I was in City College of New York and I took astronomy course. From that moment on, everything changed, and I just always been infatuated when it comes to stuff about space and astronauts and things like that. Which, by the way, I gotta go to Houston sometime soon in the future. But this documentary is magnificent. I like that at the beginning of the documentary, there's some nice establishing shots of the NASA space headquarters in Houston, Texas. In the first 10 minutes, you see a group of grown men, engineers, astronauts. They share their stories of how they became interested in space and what they aspired before entering space. A lot of them didn't even dreamed about going into that field. For example, one of them, a director of flight operations, he wanted to be a baseball player, but then he realizes that he wasn't good enough, so everything happened for a reason. By June 1965, the control center of Houston was ready for its first mission. One of the tough parts of the documentary is there were three astronauts that they passed away because there was a fire that took place and it backfired. And that was a pivotal moment for the engineers and everyone on the team for them to be better, for them to work on their mistakes. Gene Kranz, he told the astronauts to, and this is one of my favorite parts of the documentary. Gene Kranz, he told the astronauts to go back to their offices and on a black and white board to write, and I quote, tough and competent. And he told them to write that and to never remove it from there. That basically changed the entire attitude of the team. Basically saying, we're gonna get better, we're not gonna quit, we're gonna fix our mistakes, we're gonna own up to our mistakes and make sure that we don't lose any one of us on the team ever again. And that's exactly what happened. So that goes to show you and demonstrate what great leadership can do when time of crisis happens. There were no manned flights for 20 months after the fire. In 1968, manned flights resumed. And in that same year, it was a tough year because you had the Vietnam War, you had a presidential election, you had the assassinations of JFK and Robert Kennedy. Oh, no, excuse me, not JFK, but Robert Kennedy, and MLK Jr.'s death as well. So 1968 was a tough year for America. In that same year, 1968, in October, Apollo 7, they tested the redesigned command module. Apollo 8 would fly the lunar module in Earth orbit. Apollo 9 tested the lunar module. Apollo 10 took it around the moon. And then you see in this documentary as well that it got to a point where the engineers, they got very overwhelmed to the point where they were working crazy hours, heavy hours, and it was having an effect on their families. They were grinding, they were working hard, but they became, like the title says, unsung heroes. President Richard Nixon honored them for their hard work, for their tenacity, for them accomplishing their mission. So I gotta watch this documentary again because I enjoyed it that much. So my review for this documentary 1 through 5, and it's free on YouTube, by the way. From 1 through 5, I'll give this a 4.4 out of 5 stars.